turned on now.
Welcome to the April 2022 committee meetings of Dubbo Regional Council. I advise that Council is now web streaming its standing committee and council meetings live to the internet, and as such all those present should refrain from making any defamatory statements. Your attendance at this meeting is your acceptance of the condition that your image may be recorded and streamed to the internet, as well as being retained in the archive of the recorded council meetings and standing committee meetings. I now open the April 2022 Infrastructure, Planning and Environment Committee meeting, the time being 5:32. The first item on the agenda, item IPEC 22/12, leave of absence. The first item of business is apologies. I have one apology from Councillor Goff. Can I please have someone move that the apology from Councillor Goff be accepted? Councillor Etheridge, seconded by Councillor Wright. Thank you. Any questions or debate, councillors? There being none, all those in favour? Against? I declare the motion carried. Second item. Second item on the agenda is item IPEC 22/13, conflicts of interest. Does anyone have any conflicts of interest to declare? There being none, we'll go to the next item. Item IPEC 22/14, liquid trade waste and sewerage and trade waste discharge factor policies. Can I please have someone move the recommendation of the report of the Manager, Water Supply and Sewerage? Moved by Councillor Chowdhury, seconded by Councillor Etheridge. Thank you. Any questions or debate, councillors? I'll just say a quick little something here. It's pleasing to see that Council is taking environmental compliance very seriously, and that we're complying with best practice with our waste treatment policies. Thank you. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? I declare the motion carried. Next item is item IPEC 22/15, Water Supply Services Policy Review. Can I please have someone move the recommendation of the report of the Manager, Water Supply and Sewerage? Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Wells. Thank you. Any questions or debate? No? Well, just before we vote, I'd just like to say that it's great to see that Council's cutting red tape while also increasing efficiencies, and this will be a good policy. I'll put that. All those in favour? All those against? I declare the motion carried. Next item is IPEC 22/16, the building summary for March 2022. Can I please have someone move the recommendation of the report of the Director, Development and Environment? Moved by Councillor Dickerson, seconded by Councillor Wells. Any questions or debate, councillors? There being none, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? I declare the motion carried. Item IPEC 22/17, results of public exhibition, planning proposal to amend land use zone and minimum lot size, R9 Belgravia Road, Dubbo. We have a member of the community who wishes to address Council regarding this item in public forum. I now invite Mr Andrew Napier to speak to the meeting, who will be joining via audio-visual link. There he is online. Welcome, Mr Napier. You've got 5 minutes to address Council from when you start.
Thank you very much, councillors, and thank you for having me this evening. This is just briefly to just cover the planning proposal that's in front of you. I was the one who prepared the planning proposal on behalf of the asbestos. And I just wanted to quickly go through, because I noted there were a number of submissions made to that planning proposal. And I just want to address briefly where that's come from and how we've addressed that, so that you can make a decision on the way forward. Importantly, I just wanted to say, obviously you understand with the role of the planning proposal, there was some concerns about a lack of information in the planning proposal for biodiversity and salinity and a few of the environmental factors. I certainly understand that the community and the council would have concerns about making sure this is an appropriate site for this type of development. And we believe that most of the issues that have been raised can be addressed adequately at the DA stage. In an ideal world, we would obviously have Council's large lot residential strategy that would have been prepared to assess a variety of different lots suitable for this, but as we've been waiting for this strategy for a little while, Council gave us support in moving forward with this planning proposal independently of that study. And we've now been working with Council since 2017 on this planning proposal. That was when the first submission was made, followed by a subsequent submission in 2020 to the LSPS process, and then a resolution of Council following that LSPS process to support at least moving forward on looking at this site. So the process we've now had is we've gone through that planning proposal exhibition and received those, I believe it was sort of 8 public submissions against and a public submission for, in addition to some government submissions. Those issues of what we're dealing with here is a 40-hectare parcel of land with proposed 80 hectare minimum lot size. Council's now suggesting that 10 hectare might be more appropriate, and the applicant's willing to consider that. And to support that. So if one existing dwelling already on the site, there's up to 3 additional dwellings or lots on this site that would be grid-netted. Some of the public's concerns stemmed from a perception that this could lead to broad-scale fragmentation of agricultural lands out there and drastic changes to their amenity. And we believe that for a subdivision proposed of this size, that's perhaps incorrect, and Council would consider that more thoroughly in its large lot residential strategy. So at this stage, we have the lots that have a largely cleared of vegetation. We accept that there is potential for some significant vegetation on those sites, but at 8 hectare minimum lot size, there's more than sufficient area to site dropping envelopes away from existing vegetation, away from water courses, and away from bushfire land. And there are existing gates and access points to these lands to mitigate and minimise vegetation loss. In addition, if we have 3 additional lots, equal traffic generation is likely to be in the order of 20 to 25 additional vehicles per day. Council's highlighted that if there were to be 2 or more lots on Belmont Road, which is down Sealed Road, that they would then require upgrading of that road to a seal. And the applicants have noted that that might be outside their cost parameters for this project, so it's more likely there'll only be 1 lot on Belmont Road and 2 on Belgravia, which is the Sealed Road. So at this stage, on that basis, the additional sort of noise and dust generation on Belmont Road is likely to be minimal. Belgravia is a sealed road, the existing problem. And whilst there have been concerns, and I understand about all of the environmental issues, we believe they can be adequately addressed at the DA stage. The role of the plan proposal is to put forward as much information as is readily available, but for applicants like this to try and do all the environmental studies at the planning proposal stage, with no certainty that there will be actually the ability to get an approval. There needs to be a balancing of that, we believe. And I think we've struck that balance, and the Council seems to support us in their recommendations, Council staff, that this could be addressed.
Righto, thank you, Mr Napier, for that. It's right on to 5 minutes. Thanks for that. Farewell.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
See ya. Can I please have someone move the recommendation of the report of the Senior Growth Planner? Councillor Etheridge, a seconder. Councillor Chowdhury, thank you. Any questions or debate, councillors? I'll just quickly say something. So any development is going to be a compromise between environmental standards and progress, community concerns, biodiversity concerns. due to the existing land use of this lot as basically extensive agriculture for a long period of time. I see that it adjoins other small acreage lots, R5 lots. I don't see that there will be a great, it'll be a fairly minor effect on the amenity of associated lots. The biodiversity impacts will be minimal, as the gentleman just said there. Lots of concerns should be overcome with the 10 hectare lot size rather than the 8 hectare in my reading of the situation, and I think it's a good opportunity to continue economic development with another house or two, and I don't see this as a large scale fragmentation of existing rural land that will stop existing land use around that, the RU1 zone, and it's good to see that Council can entertain these sort of proposals. Thank you. Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Just also a comment there. I know we're only talking potentially 3 additional blocks, but obviously with housing the way it is at the moment, anything to take a further step towards additional parcels of land is applauded. We are only talking about a rezoning here. We're not talking about a DA, so there's obviously a lot of work that does need to be done prior to these 3 lots becoming available anyway. So and hopefully a lot of the concerns of the people who objected can be eased when we go through that DA stage anyway. So.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Any further comments or debate, councillors? There being none, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? I declare the motion carried. There's no further items for consideration of the Infrastructure Planning and Environment Committee, and I declare the meeting closed, the time being 5:42 p.m.
Thank you, councillors. I declare open the Culture and Community Committee meeting. Leave of absence. I have a leave of absence for an apology from Councillor Goff. Can I have someone move that, please? Thank you, Councillor Mann. Seconded by Councillor Wells. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Conflicts of interest, CCC 22/13. Are there any conflicts of interest to be declared, councillors? Being none, I move on to the next item, CCC 22/14. Wellington Aerodrome and Recreation Park, the 12-month review. There's a recommendation there. Councillors, have someone move that recommendation, please? Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Have someone second that, please? Thank you, Councillor Etheridge. Discussion or debate, councillors? Councillor Ivey.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I agree with and applaud the report. I think it's a good overview of the current situation of the Wellington Air Facility, or Aerodrome and Recreation Park as it's called. I would be very keen and will argue very strongly to maintain the use of that facility for air traffic, but I do recognise that the future of that facility probably is as a multi-use facility, whereby the resource, and it's a fantastic resource, anyone who's been there, it really is something that we as a community, I think, should preserve, but it can only be done, and it should only be done, if it's used by various groups in the community, not just necessarily for flying. So I think that that overview and that starting from that base is good. Part of the recommendation is that the council continue to manage the Wellington Aerodrome Recreation Park as a multi-use facility in partnership with key user groups, and I'd endorse that. I think, though, as part of that, it's important to recognise that those users should pay for the use of the facility in accordance with the cost of providing that use for them, and that means very much a user pay type arrangement. That means that the facility will be used by people, and they will be charged, or should be charged, in accordance with the cost of providing that facility for their use. The other recommendation is that that the council consider a separate report investigating the grant opportunities and funding strategies for the upgrade of that Wellington Aerodrome and Recreation Park. I strongly are of the view that that should proceed, that there is federal government funding out there that can be applied for, and that I really think that I strongly suggest and will support very much that this council pursues those grant opportunities for the long-term betterment of that facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I'll preface this question by saying that I understand that the facility at Wellington is a very important asset for a segment of the community. But I just directing a question, Mr. Mayor, I'll let you direct that question. I noticed that one of the recommendations or one of the options considered was with regards to disposal of the asset through sale or licence. Just so as councillors we can really consider all these options and how they might look. Has council actually done some investigative work with respect to the value of that asset and how that might look if it was disposed of?
Yeah, sure thing. To you, Mr. Frost. To Ms. Coomer, if you've got some sort of valuation there that might have been done previously.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A recent valuation of the land hasn't been undertaken, but about 2-3 years ago there was a valuation undertaken and it identified that the parcel was worth around $800,000.
Any further, Councillor Wright?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And I will just clarify that. So, Ms. Coomer, that was $800,000 and that would just be as value of the land. That wasn't as an ongoing concern as an airport. That would be, we just put up for sale and that was approximately the land value.
That's correct.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Coomer. And yeah, a relevant question, I think, Councillor Wright, because again, we've got a lot of options to consider there, so I think that's an absolutely relevant question. Any other questions? Councillor Black.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mayor. I'm very supportive of the multi-use of the facility of Dubbo City Car Club with their drag racing. They've got to go somewhere. For the airport to be viable economically, they really need to not just restrict it to aeroplanes, but get as many different uses there as we can with people using the facility and paying their money. One of the things that I have read through here is about people landing without giving their AV data so that they don't have to pay their $10 or $15 landing fee. If they want to keep the airport, then they need to report in and they need to pay their fee. It's only a little bit of money, but we're $9,000 or $10,000 down every year. The community, through the council, puts a fair bit of money towards it, so people landing their planes there, be they from this LGA or other LGAs that just fly in, really need to do the honest thing and pay their $10 or $15. Where we said about the grant funding, it takes me back to where Andrew G was on Binjang Radio and also in the Wellington Leader or Times or whatever it's called this week, saying that he really wanted to give some grant funding to the council for the Badangra Wellington Airport. He will get his opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Any further questions or discussion, councillors? No, there being none. Councillor Ivey, would you like a right of reply?
Yes, just to add to Councillor Black's comments, I do agree that it's very important that all the users of that facility pay, and that includes the people who evidently land and don't pay. Anecdotally, I think that's because there's perhaps a bit of a negativity towards the airport that it doesn't really matter because no one cares about the airport sort of thing. Now, that's just an anecdotal comment, but I think that if this council can really grasp hold of that facility and recognises for the benefit that it is and put some money towards it through grant funding and increase the profile and the awareness of that, of the benefit of that facility, I think collecting the money from the users will be easier.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. No further questions or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. The next item on the agenda is CCC 22/15 Grant Opportunity Regional Airports Program. Councillor Ivey, you have an alternative motion, I believe.
Yes, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the motion that, one, that the information contained in this report be noted, including asset conditions and financial position of the Dubbo Regional Airport function. Two, that Council proceed with grant applications for projects A and B, which A and B are specified within the document.
Thank you. I have a seconder for that motion, please. Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Ivey, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes. Yes, Mr Mayor. I think this is an opportunity to apply for some substantial funding. There is some uncertainty as to whether or not this council can make two applications to the regional airport grant funding round 3. That it can certainly make one application for two facilities, being the Dubbo facility and the Wellington facility. Whether or not it can submit two separate applications, we have to clarify. But either way, I think that this council is obliged to submit applications to the Regional Airport Funding Program for both the upgrade of the Dubbo Regional facility and also the Wellington facility, and so that is covered in those the two options of Projects A and Project B. I think this is round 3 of the funding. We don't know how many applications will be received, but round 2 of that funding was undersubscribed. There was money made available which was more than the value of the application submitted, and so we certainly do not want to see a repeat of that situation for this round 3 funding. Hence, I think applying for both upgrade of the Dubbo Regional Airport and also the Wellington Airport and Recreation Facility is well warranted. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Any further comments? Councillor Black.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The council and the airport missed out on a lot of money during the COVID. Airlines were given millions of dollars, but councils weren't that actually own the airport. So we need every dollar we can get. The budget's not really healthy, and the more grant funding that we can be given or win, the better for everyone in the whole local government area. So this is very important funding, and will do a great deal of good if we can get it. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Black. Any further questions or comments, councillors? No, there being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. That brings to the end the Culture and Community Committee meeting at 5:53 p.m.
I now open the April 2022 Corporate Services Committee meeting. Item CSC 2212, leave of absence. The first item of business is apologies, and I have received an apology from Councillor Goff. Can I please have someone move that apology from Councillor Goff be accepted? Thanks, Councillor Lawrence. Seconded, Councillor Ivey. Any questions or debate? All those in favour? Carried. Item CSC 22/13, conflicts of interest. Does anyone have any conflicts of interest to declare? Councillor Black.
Thank you, Chair. I declare a non-pecuniary less than significant interest in item CSC 22/15 in that it involves the sale of some land that's been completed from council to my employer at Dubbo Christian School. I will remain in the room when we get to that point. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Item CSC 22/14, quarterly report on Code of Conduct complaint statistics. Can I please have someone move the recommendation of the report of the Executive Manager of Governance and Internal Control? Councillor Chowdhury, thank you. Seconded, Councillor Lawrence, thank you. Sorry, Vicky. Etheridge. Blast from the past there. Any questions or debate, councillors? Councillor Dickinson.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. I think this is actually one of the points through our induction process was that from the local government, the local government department, we've got to report the Code of Conduct complaints on an annual basis, but a year is a long time. So we actually asked in the induction process to have this reported on a quarterly basis, which is exactly what's occurring here. But it is pleasing to note that so far in this council and this new council term, there have been 0 Code of Conduct complaints, which is fantastic, which I hope continues on. And not only is that good from a cultural point of view, from the actions of the councillors and the interactions with councillors in the community, but a significant cost. If you look in the report where it talks about the cost in our current year, going back to the first 6 months of this financial year, there's $146,000 in there, which is obviously a significant cost to our budget. If we keep continuing on with 0 complaints, and obviously that's a huge saving to our budget. So good culturally, good from an interaction perspective, but also good financially. So well done, councillors, and keep up the great work.
Thank you, councillor. Any further comment or debate? Okay, all those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Item CSC 22/15, quarterly report on documents executed under power of attorney. Can I please have someone move the recommendation of the report of the government's team leader? Thank you, Councillor Wright. Someone second? Councillor Etheridge, thank you. Any questions or debate? No questions or debate. All those in favour, please. I declare the motion carried. Item CSC 22/16, investment under Section 625 of the Local Government Act, March 2022. Can I please have someone move the recommendation of the report of the Chief Financial Officer? Councillor Chowdhury, thank you. Seconded, Councillor Black. Any questions or debate? Councillor Ivey.
Just a question through you, Mr Chair. With interest rates starting to move up, are we likely to see any positive results from that in the next budget period, or our investments sort of tend to be locked in for a time, whereas any increase in interest rates over the next 6 months or so won't have much effect?
I'll hand that over to Frost.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Whilst it is anticipated that interest rates will increase, some of the assets that we have are maturing, and they were locked in when interest rates were higher. So there will be this sort of short period of where we will in fact drop a little bit of our revenue, but even though interest rates will be going up, but in 2 to 3 and 4 years down the track, if interest rates continue to go up, then that will be a positive thing. But it'll be a bit of an anomaly next year where we will see that sort of changeover, where we were getting 3-4%. We won't be at that rate sort of in next year, I wouldn't have thought.
Thank you. Any more questions or debate? Okay. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item CSC 22/17, new procurement policy. Can I please have someone move the recommendation of the report of the Manager Procurement? Thank you, Councillor Wells. Seconded, Councillor Chowdhury. Any questions or debate? Councillor Dickinson.
I've got an amendment, please, Mr Chairman, in relation to local businesses. So we've got the point there that we adopt that policy, but I'd like to add an amendment as a point 2, if you like, that says that we put a definition in the policy of what a local business is. And point 3, I'd like to change the 10% nominal deduction for a local business to 5% and remove the maximum of $50,000 that a local business gets as a nominal deduction.
Okay, can I have someone second the amendment, please? Councillor Chowdhury. Thank you. Any questions or debate on the amendment?
I'll just speak to the amendment, if that's
yes.
okay. Yeah, thank you. So one of the things that's interesting in our current local businesses is that we've got some allowances in there for local businesses, but we haven't got a clear definition, and the last thing that I'd want is to leave it to a staff member to define a local business, because someone from the public who might miss out on something might then accuse a staff member of making up the rules as they go along. So I'd rather have a clear, unambiguous definition so that everyone knows, whether it be a staff member, a contractor, someone in the public or a councillor, everyone knows exactly what that definition of a local business is. The second part of it, in terms of the 5%, the $50,000 as a maximum makes sense for smaller amounts, but we might have contracts that might be going out in the several $1 million. And the $50,000 makes sense then, but the 10% deduction means that you could get, if you took that $50,000 out, several $100,000 allowance we're giving to a local business. I think the 5% seems fair across the board, and the removal of that $50,000 just means that we've got 5% no matter how large that contract is. So it makes it nice and clear and very much easy for anyone to understand that a local business gets a 5% advantage. Thanks, Mr Chair.
Thanks, Councillor. Any questions or debate? No? Okay, so then I put the amendment. All those in favour? Against? Carried. The amendment has now become the motion. Any debate or comments on the motion? Councillor Black.
Thank you, Mr Chair. It's good to see a very robust policy that we've got here on the procurement policy, and above all that it ensures value for money. and probity and transparency so that the community can have faith in the whole process and that their money, their ratepayer money, is not being squandered and diddled. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Black. And in line with your previous comments, it also cut some of the red tape, hopefully. Councillor Wright.
Just some clarity at the moment. The policy states that it's for purchases above 10,000, below 150, but then there's also a separate segment in there for purchases above 150. Just getting some clarity there that 5% will be across the board for both of those brackets.
That's the intent of the policy as it's written, and the Mayor hasn't changed. He's just changing the percentage, or proposing to change the percentage.
Thank you. Any further comments or debate? I now put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. I declare the motion carried. There are no further items for consideration of the Corporate Services Committee, and I declare the meeting closed, the time being 7:04. Oh, sorry, that clock's caught me out. 6:04, whatever that was. Thank you all. Web streaming has now been completed. Thank you for your attendance.